What sound?
What sound?
Oh, never mind. It might have been
the literally wasted boom.
Oh.
Boom. That means it's time for us to have a live discussion about a book.
That's a lot.
I know. It's exciting. What book are we talking about today, tonight, this evening? Dune. Welcome, everybody, to the second live discussion for Dune. This is
end.
about the whole thing, the whole book, the whole kit and caboodle. Kitten caboodle. Is it kitten caboodle or kit and caboodle?
Kit and caboodle,
No, it's
not
kitten.
kitten. No, it's not.
It's kitten.
No, it's not.
I want it to be.
Can I say hi to people?
Yes, let's say hi to everybody.
Hi, Giggles, Viz, and Tammy, and Sarah, and Matthew, and oh my god, it scrolled too fast. Hold on 1 second. And Brandy, and Brittany, and Randy, and Abby, and Julie, and Laura, Brittany, and Katie, and Lauren, and Katie, and Emily, Matt, Jennifer, Bobby, Leo, and Jeff. Oh, Jeff! Hi! Oh, he said can't listen, but monitoring the chat. Ooh, monitoring the chat. That's scary. Good. Nikki and Kira and Jean and Sarah and Kat and Casey, Jason, D, Giggles, again, Bethany, Kira, Brittany. Oh my god, I need glasses, I think.
You have glasses.
Judy, Damon, Adrian, Jean, Jody, Adrian, Tammy. I think now y'all are all just talking.
Did we get all that? Did we get everybody?
We got and everybody. Steve. The whole world is here for our Dune discussion.
Okay.
All right, so listen, if you didn't finish the book, it's fine. I'm not saying. No, I think we all. I finished the book.
What a way to start.
But like,
we don't care.
There's no pressure here.
If you didn't finish it, it's fine. We're happy to have you here. Yeah. We'll probably get a little spoilery.
Oh yeah.
If that's a problem for you. Hey, Liam got off work to make it.
Hey.
It's not remotely.
That's okay.
That's how, like I said, it's fine.
We are going to ruin it for you, though.
Yeah. This
for sure.
You know, it's one of those things. So how do we start this? This is a classic science fiction novel.
Yeah, and it inspired a ton of stuff.
How do we start this? Do we want to just say like this is what I thought, and then like go in from there?
Sure. What'd you think?
Me? Okay, so like Matt Scalisi, this, and I think I mentioned this last time.
Oh man, that's one of my discussion topics.
I didn't. Okay.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I didn't read the appendices. I just read the book like it was a book that didn't need appendices. And so I thought this book was okay. If we just jumping into that, like there were lots of parts that I enjoyed, and there were lots of parts that I thought were less fun. And I'd like to have fun, and maybe fun is not the name of the game for Dune. I don't want to. I'm happy that I read it. There, we can certainly get into like, all right, what did you like? What didn't you like? And I think those are points worth discussing. But we had a lot of people who didn't read the appendices.
Done instead of fun.
Fellow non-appendices readers. This is definitely a book that I think if you want to get the most out of it, you've got to read it like 3 times at least, and then you've got to read the appendices and then read it again. So, I'm 1/4 of the way there. But on the first read, knowing nothing about this book, I'm glad I read it. I enjoyed a lot of it. There were parts that I didn't enjoy. I can see why it's classic. And then we'll go from there. Christy.
Cool. Well, I really enjoyed the book. I mean, of course, I have some criticisms, but that's everything. I thought it was a really good book. I also feel like I was really satisfied. Like, I felt like we can talk about the ending later, but the fact that I don't know if I'm going to read on. Actually, I'm kind of counting on this discussion to talk me into it or not. But because I felt like it could stand alone easily. What'd you guys think?
Go ahead.
I liked it.
You finished it today. It's fresh in your mind.
I know the story. There wasn't any like. I knew I wasn't going to be really surprised by anything. Having seen the movie multiple times and trying to read it one time. I really like it. It is weird. I do feel like just in general, it starts off really, really strong, and it kind of tapers. Like it gets weirder and weirder and a little bit more obtuse and obscure and maybe not as well written. But I think the first book is really, really interesting with all the characters and the political drama and the move to this foreign planet and Duke Leto and all this stuff. And then it just gets weirder and weirder as Paul progresses as a Leto.
Oh, I thought
Leto?
it was
Leto.
That's a Leto.
Oh, I did Leto too.
Leto.
But I did listen to the audiobook, so
I did listen to the audiobook. I did not have appendices, but I did go on like a fan forum blog to like just do some deeper dives on some of the.
I feel like you did more research
Some of
and
the
like outside
characters
reading for this book than anything else that we've read.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
wanted to know. Like again, I think Frank Herbert has made an utterly fascinating world. You know, with the Sardaukar and just all these different belief systems and the guild, and it's really fascinating how he set it up. So I spent a lot of time just reading on mentats and okay, let's read about the not the schism, but the jihads and all, you know, these different books and the Princess Irulan and but no, I really like it. I don't feel motivated to move on, really, just because there's so many other books that and series that we've read that I really want to continue more. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for right now.
Okay. I can see, I've read somewhere, I don't know, it's probably on the cover of a book somewhere, some tagline that Dune is supposed to be like the sci-fi Lord of the Rings. And I
said that.
I can see where that's coming from. Like, it's something that's so epic and so like necessary to the genre, and it's classic for a reason. Like, knowing when this was written, holy crap, like, so creative, so many things that hadn't been done before, like how complex this world is that he's created is mind-boggling to me. I can absolutely see why it is a classic and why so many people love it. If I had read this book, though, and I didn't know those things, if someone was like, oh, here, read this new sci-fi book, if I thought this was something that was written like maybe 10 years ago, I probably would have read it and been like, this is a mess. But the reason for me is because, once again, these are my personal feelings. I have no critique experience whatsoever. I can only talk about my own heart and brain. It's just that it was so... There were 3 categories for me. The main 2 were, I love this part, it's so cool, or I don't care, like, move on, blah. And then there's one tiny little part where I was like, I don't like it. Granted, there were only like 3 tiny little pieces that were like that. And it was also probably the end of each book, the very end of each book. I was like, eh. But for the most part, it was just kind of, I was either meh on it, or I was like, this is really, really cool. So for me, it was just kind of all over the place a little bit. That being said, I've also seen every single person who loves this book has read it more than once. So I do feel like that's necessary. And so I'm saying it right now, I'm putting it out into the universe. I am going to reread this book. By the way, I did read all the appendices. I don't think anything stuck in my brain, but whatever. I am going to reread this book one day, not soon, but one day I will reread it. And I'm very interested to see how I feel about it then.
Well, actually, we have a special announcement. Next month's book is Dune.
No, get out of here. The worst.
But I will say, so like, I really wanted to get through this because I wanted to show Talia. I got the extended edition DVD. It is almost 3. Look at that. Oh yeah, it is almost 3 hours of glory. So this is 1983, and the original theatrical release was like 2 hours and 17 minutes. And this
I am excited to see this movie, and I'm excited to see the new one too. I'm definitely seeing that if they ever release it.
The trailers look good.
Yeah,
and I think going into this, having seen the movie multiple times and kind of growing up with it, I think having some of those visuals and just knowing helped me get into it a little bit better. It's kind of like a reverse. You know, you don't normally go from like a visual visualization of a book, from the movie to that.
I'm interested to see
So-
how they deal with
and
the fact
Sting
that
and his
so much
leather.
of this
Oh,
book is interior. So much of it happens inside the characters' heads. And so, I'm very interested to see how that translated in the movie, as someone who hasn't seen it. But,
Leanne says all you need to know about the 84
that's
movie.
right.
is that a good thing or a bad thing? I would like to
I mean,
Steve, clarify?
Sting's ripped. Like, he's a ripped little
He's
skinny
Sting.
man, but he's also like,
He's Fade Routher.
Like what?
he's Spade Rotha.
That's
he's like-
okay.
He's also Wario.
Yep.
Oh, hi, buddy.
So let's get into more specific. So what did you like about the book? What did you like about it?
My favorite thing was the Bene Gesserits, and I need more of them. I want to know all about their schemes and just how deep they go, and I found that fascinating. And also, Katie Ellen mentioned the awesomeness that is Aaliyah. Oh, she was hilarious. I laughed out loud a couple of times during this book.
Is that the little girl?
Yeah.
And that was
I don't
always
know why. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. She's a BA. She's
She
a total BA.
is.
At the end, like that. She
Oh my
owns,
gosh.
like she owns that scene in the book, like at the very end, because this is like the emperor of the galaxy, right? And she's
Mhm.
like
Eating
she
popcorn.
speaks- yeah,
Like-
she's
So
eating
like,
popcorn.
I
She's
let
like,
you
oh
catch
no,
me.
I
And
got
she's
this
so
too.
snarky. I love her. And that's my biggest thing about reading on is getting more of her because I want more.
I agree that she was awesome, and she changed my opinion on the what are they called? I finished this book 2 weeks and 5 days ago, so I already forgot
Sunday?
everything. Like who the Great Mother was the old
The
lady?
Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother,
Yeah,
the
the
Bene
Great
Gesserits?
Mother. Yeah, the main old lady, okay, that we meet in the very end.
Mhm.
She's the truth speaker for the Emperor. We meet her. She's the one that does the needle
Mhm.
thing
Gaius.
Yes.
Helen Gaius.
So,
Reverend
yeah.
Mother.
I had so much reverence, no pun intended, for her in the beginning because she's introduced in such a way where she's this very powerful woman. And then that whole scene where she's when she meets Aaliyah and she's abomination, and she's hiding behind the Emperor's throne and she's like, kill it. I was like, ew, I hate this old crone now. What is wrong with you, old lady?
She was scared. She was terrified.
Well, to be fair, Aaliyah is a little bit terrifying,
yeah.
but
I know,
Very
but it was
terrifying.
funny.
fascinating.
But I think it just I had such an instinctual defensive feeling towards Aaliyah. You can't help but love her, that when the old crone lady was like, kill it, I was like, I don't like this character anymore. It was a big switch for me.
Okay, Rex has a good point. If you like the Bene Gesserit, there's a huge focus on them in book 3 and book 5. Chapter House.
So many
Chapter
pages
House.
away.
I agree. I think they are fascinating, and of the little sects of you've got the guild and you've got all these political factors and the mentats. The Bene Gesserit are really fascinating, and like you said, Christy, just they're stitching everything together and playing these games with humanity is really fascinating because there's more stories like that. Just like the let's say Archduke Ferdinand, who's the guy at the very end that
Fenring?
Paul feels Fenring that feels the connection. He was basically he was this assassin eunuch guy who was supposed to be a Paul, right? But he didn't hit that point. But there's all sorts of experiments like that guy out there, and what are their stories? So
It's like everybody in the Matrix that they thought was Neo, but wasn't. And then they just ended up part of the crew. They're like, oh, I guess we missed the boat on that one.
Morpheus.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts, and this is kind of a weird favorite part, because I also really liked Aaliyah. There was a chapter that just was fascinating to me, and I was really hooked, and it had no action at all. It was a scene between the Baron and Fade Routha, and they were just trying to one up each other and read each other's minds and play this sort of chess match of dialogue, and that to me was amazing. Because you were kind of in both of their heads, and you could hear Fade Routha's thinking like, "Oh, you old fool," and then the Baron's like, "You probably think of me as an old fool." It's like, oh,
Yeah.
like, they're playing this game right now, and like the way that chapter played out was just like awesome to me. That like really stuck out of my head, even though I hated the Baron. But it was just interesting. Like the Baron wasn't stupid.
No.
No.
And neither was like, the way they portray the Baron is just like grotesque. And I've seen how he looks in the 84 movie, and he looks
Oh, it's so gross.
like a giant pimple with pimples.
It's gross.
Oh no.
But like he's actually really smart. So that was a fun chapter for me. Any of the chapters that I guess I'm segueing into things that I didn't like because it was
No, that's fine. That's where we're going next, I think.
kind of related. But like, I guess should we just talk about the ending?
Yes.
Should we just talk about the way this book ended? Because the way I felt like we had all this buildup, like literally like this much of book of buildup, and then we had this ending that was like, are you serious? Is that it? Is that all we're gonna see here? Is like the Baron just killed by Aaliyah, and then
Which was awesome. That was probably one of the highlights of that part.
I wanted
Hey,
it to be
Aaliyah,
longer. I wanted more. I wanted him to suffer longer.
You wanted him to monologue
and I wanted
die.
No, I wanted him to just be there dying while everyone got to come see him. Where I feel like it happened, he died too quick. He should have.
Yeah, it was like, I guess you don't need a ceremonious death for the Baron, but like I feel like there were just so many threads that they took so long to sort of set up and build intrigue for that didn't really end up paying off. The whole thing with Fade Route, like we never saw the Beast Rabin, right? We just heard that he was dead, right?
Yeah.
Like that never came into anything.
And we don't know what happened down at the South Pole, except that they killed his baby, which made me mad.
Yeah, all of a sudden little Leto's dead, and like we hardly knew ye. And then like just the thing with Fade Routha, it just ended up being this fight scene between Paul and Fade Routha, and then it was over. The Emperor's there. Like we finally get the Emperor, and he's like, "I'm the Emperor," and they're like, "No, you're not. You're going to go to a prison planet." And now look at me. I'm the Emperor now. And
I was really disappointed that we didn't get more of the final battle. Like they did the intro of the battle so well, and I was so excited, and then it like jumped in time, and they're like in the building. I was so disappointed.
And it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. I want to say, just from like clouded memory, that the movie does a way better job actually wrapping up the story than the book did, because
I'm sure it does. Because
I want to say like he's like riding in on the worm, and it's just
somebody
like
had to read the script and be like, that's not an ending.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it was just kind of, and again, that's my view of the book. Is it starts out really strong. Book 1's great. Book 2, I'm like, okay, I'm interested. It gets weird, and then book 3 is like really weird, and I like Paul less and less as the story goes on. But yeah, I agree. I think the climax of it was Aaliyah for me. Like that was the best part of the ending, and she was, so unassuming that the Baron, with all of his ploys and all of his, trickery and everything, totally took for granted this 4-year-old little,
demon
person.
She's a little girl.
with
Little girl with the brain of 1,000 old ladies.
There were so many, the book spent so long on Paul and his like anguish and his like trying to figure himself out. And ultimately, he had to become the leader of the Fremen, which seemed to be sort of drawn out, and like everybody knew it was going to happen. But they drew that out, like he's just like, oh, and then he had to become the leader of the Fremen, and then they just sort of waltzed in and made it happen. Like it's like, this is the prophecy. The prophecy happened. The end. And he's trying to prevent this jihad, which I'm guessing the jihad is like releasing the Fremen on this galaxy, and like this, like they're gonna have this they're just going to go after everybody, I guess, is what he was trying to prevent. That never happened in the book. And he became the emperor to prevent that from happening?
Or was this last battle the jihad?
I don't think so.
I don't think
think
so.
there were, it's like there are so many things that like he saw that would have led to that point. And Monica asked, did he kill himself?
Yeah.
No, he just got really high. Like that's how I
No.
see it. It's like Paul.
I think
Paul's
they're
like,
talking about a
was he
different
killed?
comment.
They're talking about a different character.
Yeah. Mike asked
We were talking
earlier
about Hawat earlier.
Oh, I'm
what
sorry.
happened to Hawat.
Oh,
And
Sukhir, yeah.
no, he had a poison needle for Paul that I think the
He-
Duke
he
gave him,
took
and he
himself,
took it
yeah.
himself.
Yeah, he like clenched it in his hand or something.
Mhm.
But he was dying anyways.
He was, yeah. I mean, he was
He was
old.
already-
he was.
He was
He'd
like
been poisoned.
generations.
He'd been
Oh,
poisoned,
he had been poisoned,
repeatedly for whatever
But his loyalty. went
whatever
out,
the timeline of this book is, because I don't really know.
But like
Long time.
everything like wrapped up kind of neatly for Paul. He's like, I'm going to marry the princess and I'm going to become the emperor. But don't worry, Chani, you're still going to be my girl. And this is the way. This is the way. I got like they definitely like the Mandalorian little saying was in Dune a few times. It is the way. This is the way.
They totally took it from the Mandalorian.
Yeah, they stole it from the Mandalorian.
It made me feel bad for her. She lost her baby, and now her man, because like this is not her culture. That's not that way. And now he's going to be the emperor, and he's married to an empress, and she's like.
The Fremens do have more than one wife, don't they? Because he could have taken.
He basically adopts
Era?
every woman, like every man he bests. Like if I challenge Paul and he wins, guess what, Talia? You can either like
She was the first.
she was no, and I think that's one of the reasons I liked Paul less and less. It's like he just kind of became, as he became Space Jesus, like he felt more removed as a someone you could connect with, but then like once he went and got super high for 3 weeks and fell into a coma, he's like, whoa, I'm the Kwisatz Haderach now, dude. Like then I was kind of over him by the end. I was
Bill and
like,
Ted were Dune.
yeah, that's my feeling, and that's one of my biggest gripes. I think is like I really liked Paul at the beginning, and then like as the story went on, I liked him less and less, and I felt really bad for Chani. And I know he's just doing his thing to like save the galaxy and whatever, but
I do appreciate now though, because Jessica seemed so close-minded to Chani, and now they're super bonded.
Yeah.
I think I never really got a sense of warmth from Paul at all throughout this book. He started off as a more normal person with a bit of a gift, but then as he developed this prescience and the spice amplified his whatever, he kind of just became a jerk. Not a jerk,
yeah,
but
I mean,
super matter of fact about. I mean, I guess when you see the future, you know what's going to happen. Kind of, you're just like.
Yeah,
But I also feel like when he started seeing the future and seeing the different paths, I think it was a curse. I think it plagued him.
I know he definitely plagued him.
But also, I think it also made him like it froze him. It like made him indecisive, and he was so like focused on preventing the wrong thing that he stopped kind of living his life. I think he had to like analyze everything so much that he just kind of closed off.
I hate when that happens. Yeah, I mean, still I'll never understand what it's like. I can't sympathize with somebody who has Doctor Strange powers. So I don't know what kind of burden that puts you under.
Well, and if you've read further, like without any spoilers, how does that set up Paul? Does he? I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it.
No,
but
like I'm worried.
Yeah.
Like I want to
You're
know more,
asking
but I
for
don't want to ruin
I am
it
asking
for.
for trouble. Never mind. I
Never
scratched
mind.
that.
I'll just Google it later. Right.
Paul and Jessica.
Don't worry, Paul had like 10 names. He was Paul. He was Lisan al Gahib. He was Kwisatz Haderach. He was Usul or Usul.
Muad'Dib.
It was Muad'Dib. So don't
Muad'Dib.
worry. I think it was just Frank Herbert realizing that he had two really ordinary names and being like, I have two first names and they're both kind of lame, so I'm going to come up with all these cool names for my book. I solved it.
and it was kind of weird. Like it's like he totally bifurcated himself and like, well, Duke Paul Atreides says this, but Muad'Dib says
Yeah.
Mhm.
like Muad'Dib does not agree with that.
But that makes sense because he's living
It
in
does.
two worlds, ruling in two
It
worlds.
does.
So Giggles has really enjoyed the dynamic between Paul and Jessica. When I was scared of Paul, so was Jessica. And I get that, and I feel that too. You know, there was sort of like a healthy fear of Paul. Not that you ever thought he was going to like snap and kill people. Although there was a point where I thought that Jessica was going to take out Chani for some. I thought that she was going to, because she kept being like, I don't know if this is the right person for Paul, and then finally she was like, yeah, she's all right.
Rex
I feel like
had
some of that's just straight up motherhood. Like you're going to be picky about who you see as a partner for your child, especially if your child is destined to rule. Like I can
our
see
son.
that. They're gonna rule.
Rex had a good point. He said Paul gave up his humanity to save humanity from having a crappy ending, and I think that's
Space
the solid
Jesus.
Space Jesus. And yeah, Kira, go for it. Let's get some Space Jesus shirts going.
Like I can see how Paul, a lot of people say he wasn't likable, but it's true. Like the burdens that he had, like I don't like a lot of the things that he had to do, but really what options did he have? I don't think I would have liked any choice that he would have made. I mean, there's always going to be an argument on either side. So
Sure, the
because he had
apostles-
so much responsibility.
Yeah, the apostles are probably like, Jesus, you're getting really preachy right now, bro. Like, can you just bring it down?
So Martin is confused as to why the guild have so much. The way I see it is the guild had like basically a monopoly on space travel because they have special pilots that are spice imbued and
They're super high.
yeah.
Like, all
they're
right,
super high
man,
on
I can get
spice.
you here.
And they basically monopolized space travel, and it's space travel. It seems to me, based on the context clues, it's really expensive. Like it's really hard to get from one place
Which
to the other.
makes sense.
It makes sense. You know, we can't just go up into space.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool if we could.
Mhm.
But
Cool.
yeah, I think the guild just like put themselves into it. We don't have a backstory really, but like it just seems to me that it just is that the guild is monopolizing space travel and in such controlling like the transportation of valuables and the spice and etc.
Yeah, they basically figured out how to do that, and in the movie it's portrayed kind of cool but really weird, like most of the movie. I think the movie does a good job actually diving, and I don't know if it's even canonically correct, but they talk a lot more about the guild in the movie.
the Space Guild.
Yeah,
Like I feel like I should care. like right, the guild. I know they're a huge power in the book and they control so much. And like we didn't get a lot of information about them, but like I didn't care. I was kind of fine with like not knowing. I wasn't like, oh my god, I need to know more about the guild. Whereas like with Ben Gesserit, I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But the guild, I was like, well, yeah.
What's interesting to me is that it doesn't seem like the Emperor controls the guild. They seem like two separate powers. And so I don't know what place that even gives the Emperor, because I feel like the guild is far more reaching than the Emperor.
So here's kind of an interesting question. I don't know where we're gonna go with it, but like, okay, so this book is obviously classic science fiction, and we're talking about like story points and characters and things like that. But like, classics usually resonate for reasons beyond like sort of the superficial like plot. What is this book about?
Here, hold on, I'll scroll up. Jeff said it a minute ago. Because I don't know the answer. I don't know.
I mean, like we can, sure, you can chime in the comments and we'd love to hear it. But like for you, Christy, for example, like what do you get out of this?
For
Jeff,
Jeff,
you have to like learn anything, but
For Jeff, the book is about how religion, politics, and business all come together to manipulate society to the detriment of the environment and the best interest of the common. Even reading that, I'm kind of like,
I mean, yeah, Jeff nailed it. But I'm with you, Adam. It's like, what do you really take away from it?
I mean, is this what's the story? I mean, you got kind of a hero's journey with Paul. He's kind of Luke Skywalker a little bit, with, you know, he's definitely no ordinary kid at the beginning, that's for sure. But like, you know, like you've got at least sort of this sort of corrupt politics, even going all the way to the top to the Emperor, because there was a scheme, right? This whole thing was kind of a scheme to get rid of the Atreides, right?
Yeah.
Boy, did that backfire.
I mean, wait to declare them dead until you see
Adam,
the body.
you should make one of those. What are they, like the fake trailers, and like take the movie trailer but make it a comedy? Be like,
He tried to get rid of this whole family, but little does he know they're gonna take his job.
Emperor Padishah ruled the galaxy. Little did he know.
I will pay you $20 to do
A
that.
4-year-old girl.
Yeah, right.
One man.
He's really thinking about it now. He's like, okay, where's this
Okay,
going?
think about it later. Come on.
But like, no, for like, you know, why is Dune? Why is Dune?
Why
I mean,
is
I just feel like
Dune?
you know, obviously it inspired a lot. You can pick out pieces and see like where sci-fi borrowed. Like, we're making references all over the place, like Luke Skywalker and the Bene Gesserits or Jedi, etc. Like, there's all sorts of other, like Doctor Strange, etc. You know, so many things. But like, you know, like why is Dune?
Where
You've
is
never asked us about any
I
of the
know,
other
but like,
books.
but like Dune is so like you grow up hearing about, like, oh, you're a sci-fi fan. Have you read Dune?
Did you get into the spice tonight, Adam?
I'm hitting the spice, but I can't see anything. Wrong spice. I think I just ate cinnamon.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for you.
Cinnamon challenge. See, no, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Well, let me change the subject completely.
We'll get back to it.
I really wanted to be like Christy, but wait, do you remember when we did the poll? Do you remember what you said about this book? I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because now I want to know what the description of this book was. Because if someone asked me what Dune is about, I don't know what I'd say. I
Yeah,
have to go watch it later. I don't remember. It's
I don't know.
It's about a sand planet. And
Yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
Well, no, I think too. When you take Arrakis and you take Paul, you know, who's this young kid basically, and you take Aaliyah, it's almost like power from unassuming things, right? Like, you don't think that this desert planet, this desolate place, is going to really be the key to the universe, right? Like, he who controls this planet controls the universe basically, and then Paul, being this teenage kid, is kind of
it's not about the
unassuming.
planet, it's about the worm poop.
I know, but I mean, it's, I don't know. That's another theme that you could, if you really were like digging down, could talk about. You know, unassuming power.
Okay, sorry. Christy was trying to change the
Yes,
subject.
Christy.
But Jay says something interesting. You know, it's a book about opening your mind, expanding it, expanding consciousness. I mean, that was the whole, like, you know, him being the one. It's like we're gonna like expand the consciousness of the human brain, and there was something about being human in the beginning of the book. Like, they called him a human, and that was a thing, right? The Reverend Mother was like, "Oh yeah, you're a human,"
And not an animal.
Yeah, they didn't really touch on that again until the end.
Well, I
Maybe
feel like the universe went through some big tragedy with AI.
I
Because
feel like they could have played that up more.
yeah, and they might in future
That's
books.
true.
But, and there's also actually, I think, some prequel books that Frank's son wrote that people don't really recommend.
So Rex is on fire today. Rex has got some good stuff coming in. The book isn't just about the planet or the spice. It's about the purpose of humanity being undermined by political machination and economic posturing between power brokers. Greed was killing the purpose of humanity.
I mean, yeah, they've been pulling strings for a long time. But like even what Christy said, so the Ben Gesserit, they've been selectively breeding for what? It was like
90 generations or something.
Yeah,
like that.
to get this specific one person, and then they thought they had it with the Count, and then he ended up being a eunuch or something, so it didn't work, and so they tried again, and then got this kid, Paul Jesus, like strings on strings on strings.
You guys looking at you.
Okay, Christy, you can change the subject now.
Okay. So Brittany Resto asked, is the Emperor immortal? Or was she in dire need of a nap when reading and misunderstood?
Wait, I don't know.
I did not take it as immortality.
Well, and they did mention that the spice can
Yeah, prolongs
Extended
life.
life.
Yeah. And the Emperor, I'm assuming, has a really big stock.
Oh yeah.
I thought you said sock. Sorry.
But you can still kill him.
Well, yeah.
I thought you just. No.
But can he die of old age? I guess is the question here.
Yes.
And that might be something that we have to read on to find out. But I didn't even think about it until I saw this question. So.
Yeah, the Emperor was an interesting character. I mean, he kind of loomed over the whole book, and you never really got to see him until the end. And then he comes in the end, and he's kind of a fascinating character in the way that he presents himself, and the way that he presents himself when he's in control versus when he realizes that he's sort of losing control, because he ran away, right? Like stuff started to go down. He went and hid on the ship, and then they blew up half of the ship. And he got stranded there, and then he comes out and he tries to be like, I'm the Emperor, you do what I tell you to do. And Paul's like, nah, bruh. I'm the new Emperor. Have fun on your prison planet. Salusa Sedundo. Which sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Rex said, spice makes people crazy long-lived. That's a weird way to say that. 300 years or more.
So he's not,
Like an eternity.
he's basically immortal.
Oh, yeah. That's really interesting.
The Emperor was just a figurehead. He was a symbol of power throughout the whole book. And then when you finally see him, he's killed by a child.
Well, the Emperor's still alive.
The Emperor didn't die, right?
Yeah.
Baron.
The Baron was the one that was killed by the Baron.
But Baron was probably
Harkonnen, the guy who can't get around without being held up by anti-grav units, basically.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
No, it's good. Go for it.
Are you drinking a Capri Sun?
Yes, it is a grown-up Capri Sun.
So, why are the Harkonnens the way they are? Are they really just evil, or are their actions justifiable in some way?
I would like to think that they don't think that they're evil. Like, I think that they, good villains never think that they're being evil. They always have they think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you rule.
I think that they were sort of a product of their environment. Like, in a world where it's kind of like, in a world where you got to have to like, you kind of fight your way to the top. It seems like there's still a lot of emphasis played, even in the Fremen culture and the Harkonnens. Like, battling is still a way to prove yourself. And so that I think that they're just trying to spread their footprint. I was going to say spread their seed, but that's disgusting.
I thought you were about to say that.
They just want control over everything. They're kind of greedy and power hungry, and they think that the Harkonnen way is the right way, and they
Well, I think you get a glimpse of that, Adam, on that scene that you were talking about that you really like, where it's really just the Duke and Feyd-Rautha talking about, it's like, whoa, dude, if you just chill out, I'm raising you to be the next me, but like you gotta calm down.
Wait your turn.
And I think you kind of get a glimpse of that, where he really does feel justified, and because he knows that if it's not going to be him doing that kind of thing, someone else is going to be doing it. So why not him? And his path is justified, right? Because he holds power and all that good stuff.
And they're talking about the relationships between the Harkonnens and the Atreides, which kind of crazy. And
so much incest.
Wait,
yeah.
Was the Emperor related to the Harkonnens and the Atreides?
The Emperor?
It was just the Harkonnen and the Atreides were.
I don't think the Emperor was related to them.
I'm pretty sure that the Duke was the Emperor's like
Something.
great nephew or something like that. I'm pretty sure there was a blood connection
I think they're all
between the Duke and the Emperor.
one line away from one another.
Yeah. I mean, the Harkonnens were they were very Lannister-y.
And the Harkonnens and the
makes
Atreides
nothing.
or whatever, they weren't supposed to be blood related, but surprise, Jessica. So I think that was the connection there. But I'm pretty sure, because they even mentioned the physical similarity, like there was something in the line of the Duke's face that looked like the Emperor.
He says Paul was supposed to marry Fade. I guess when they were trying to make Paul, they were trying to have a daughter instead of and then
to
trade.
Ew, that's right. All the things are weird and gross. And that would have been the whatchamacallit, right?
Yeah.
That would have
been the thing that Paul was.
The Kwisatz Haderach.
I don't think that was a sentence. I think what I say?
I don't know.
That was the thing that Paul was. That's
Yeah. Rex says Carino, Harkonnen, Atreides, all cousins.
Okay.
And I was getting kind of a Game of Thrones vibe from all these families. You know, like Atreides definitely felt more like the Starks, and Harkonnen felt like Lannisters. Starks are like the good guys. Lannisters are the bad guys. To sum it up very reductively, I guess. But like, you know.
And then there was the dragon lady, right? That's all I remember.
The
There's
dragon
the lady with the short hair, the little girl with the big eyes, and then the redhead. And I don't know.
That's it. That's how they referred to each other in.
Oh, we're still talking about Game of Thrones. I was really confused for a second.
Adrian says, why do epics always have an incest aspect? Blech. Yeah,
I feel like it's tied to history because if you go back in time, unfortunately, that existed for a long time, especially in ruling families. People had all these crazy notions about purity of blood and purity of family and keeping royal lines a certain way. And I think it all stems from that until we got to modern day and science said, hey, the reason you have a crooked spine and no nose and 2 fingers over there and you're going to die at the age of 8 is because your brother uncle and your sister mommy, like, I think it was a while before science was like, hey, that's not a good idea.
I mean,
and also none of us are royal anymore.
This is also like the future. This is in the future. But
I feel like every time we read about the future, it's the same as the past. If you go far enough into the future, you end back up in like pyramid days. Well, time is a flat circle.
Like even in Game of Thrones, there's like weird, stupid incest going on.
It was taboo, though.
Yeah, I guess. Now Matt says something interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up because this resonated with me too. Like when everybody expected Paul to call out Stilgar, and like basically calling him out means I'm going to kill you, fight you to the death to prove my value as leader of the Fremen. And Paul said, he's like, that's dumb. Stilgar is like really, he's much more useful to us alive, basically. And that led to this whole ways change. We don't have to keep doing things that hurt us just because it's how things are done. And I think that's nice.
That was Paul's like Sermon on the Mount.
Like, changing, that's something that definitely resonates, as sort of a timeless sentiment. Just in that, like, so many things are like rooted in tradition and like, this is how we do things. This is the way we do things. And if it doesn't make sense, don't do it anymore. So yeah, that was a good bit there. And it looks like other people in the comments agreed. Also,
they're still talking about genetics.
Genetics. Oh gosh.
I know, you gotta scroll through it.
Yes. Julie says incest is how royal families kept their power consolidated. Yeah, gotta keep it in the family. Hey, Justin's here. Gustav Mahler says tradition is laziness.
Unless it's Christmas.
Right?
Right?
No, unless the COVID hits and you got to change everything.
That's right.
That's how you do it.
So, did anybody else expect him to marry the Princess Aurelian
Yes.
the whole time?
Yes, I did. I don't know why I did, but like I was like, he's gonna marry her.
Yeah, and then when like he started having his relationship with Channing, I was like, oh, I guess I was wrong. That's so weird.
I didn't really think on it that much, but I think in the back of my head, I just assumed because the friggin' intro of every single chapter was from her talking, and she obviously knows him really, really well.
Mhm.
She wrote 8,000 different books about every single thing he did. So I was like, I assumed that was a very, very close relationship, but I also didn't dwell on it because, like, I was just trying to get through the book.
I think for a long time I got Irulan confused with his sister,
Aaliyah.
and Aaliyah, because when I was reading or listening to those intros, such and such and such and such by the Princess Irulan, but then she would reference the Emperor as my father, and I was like, I don't think it clicked honestly for me until the very end who the heck she was, like this golden princess lady that.
Yeah. And it was so cool that she was writing all these books. And I was like, man, she's really prolific. And then like it got to the end and it explained it. And I was like, oh, well, that's just sad.
I didn't really explain it. Paul was just like, his prescience was like, I believe she has a proclivity to writing. We're like, oh, you
tied it in. Yeah.
We've been reading your stuff this whole time.
She's like writing in the bedroom, like crying because she's all alone, and like Paul's in the.
It makes me
other
feel
room
really bad for her. She like has. I mean, I am interested to read more about her. I mean, yeah, I didn't appreciate the dig. Jessica was like, I hope she enjoys that writing because she's got nothing else going on.
She's not about to get you.
But like, maybe she's happy with that life for real. She does obviously end up writing quite a bit. But
bestsellers too.
They talk about she's trained so much in this way, but I mean, literally at the very end, I think she's smarter than I initially gave her credit for, because she's just standing there at the end watching everything. She's unfazed by everything, and then finally she's like, "Yo, Dad, he'd make a good emperor. Just let it happen." And she's just like, "All right, this is going to be my new life." I kind of don't feel like she's going to weep into her books.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to have a better handle on some things than we expect.
I missed this. Was she a Bene Gesserit too?
She was trained, yes.
She was, yeah, that's okay.
So she's part of the master plan. She knows what's going on.
I'm not too sad about her, for her. I think she'll be all right.
Nah, she's doing fine. We've read all her books.
Okay, so this is kind of random. Not really, but in the last book of the book, in book 3, it jumps 2 years at the beginning of book 3, and then it jumps 2 more, but it doesn't even tell you it does. It just at one point Aaliyah is 2, and another point Aaliyah is 4, and that messed with my head. I was just wondering if anybody else noticed.
I mean, I didn't notice, and you had to explain it to me. And when you did explain it to me, I was like, well, that explains a lot. It explains like why all of a sudden it happened so fast and then done.
Yeah, he's like trying to get up on the worm, and then all of a sudden they're like tearing down the walls.
Yeah, I did not follow the timeline, but I also didn't care that much. Like, I'd get to a point and I realized I'd read something and I was like, oh, it's 2 years later. Whatever. And then just kept reading.
Laura says she did not notice at all the second time jump. I'm not even sure when it happened.
It's just between chapters, and it doesn't tell you anything. It's just like
it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the time part of me felt like when I was reading it, and I'm sure like that's not the case because I don't want to believe that it's the case, but it felt like he was coming up on like a page quota, and he was like, "Oh crap, I've written a lot, and I gotta end it before I hit this."
It did feel that way, but someone else commented that it started out as like a serial thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
like he started writing it as like a serialization or something.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was any sort of.
Was there another book
goal.
that we read that was like that?
Hugh Howie Wool was like that.
Yeah, Wool, he started that as an online thing, and it just turned into a book.
I feel like there was another one too that
I feel like there was also
started as like short stories. Was it the something wicked? No, I don't remember. We've read so many books. That's all we do is read.
It's almost like we're a book club.
I know. But yeah, so I mean, putting it in that perspective, yeah, I can give him that. But it just still seemed like there was just so much world building, and there was so much, it kind of felt like the end of Game of Thrones to me. And I'm not spoiling anything for those of you who haven't seen Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones, seven seasons of like, oh yeah, and then like season 8 was just like, oh, we're done, bye. And that's kind of what it felt like. Adam Massey says, we're not a book club. We are a drinking club with books. We drink Capri Sun with alcohol.
Empty.
But yeah, like, I know we already kind of talked about the ending, but
what ending?
It just was like, and it's done.
Well, in some ways, like, I was fine with it. It does end it to where if you don't want to keep going, cool, but like it leaves it open enough to say, okay, if you want to explore in this world, there's more. Like Paul's around, and there's going to be more happening. So I was.
So this is how long the appendices are in my book. So what happened was I read and I got to the bottom of the page, and I was like, okay. And then I went to the next page, and it's appendices, and I was like,
I thought
I was gonna finally get like my final chapter that tied everything, like, or it just gave me something else. And I was like, and I went back and then I reread the last paragraph again because I was like, that was the end. That was the end. And so then I was like, well, maybe the appendices, it's more like, it tells more of the future. And then I read the appendices, all of them, and was like, no, there's no plot. This is like a textbook. It's just giving me more information about the things. There's no plot in that. So for me, the ending was not satisfying.
We got to call Rex the MVP here.
Yeah,
we should have had you on as like a special guest person.
Yep.
Wait, you read the book every single year?
From 13 to 30. Holy moly.
On purpose?
I just stumbled into it.
That's a lot
incredible.
of years to read it every year.
Yeah, Rex, you're MVP, man.
Wait, but how many times have you read The Wheel of Time? Talia?
What? Not whatever 30 minus 13 is.
But there
17.
are like 14 books. I was just saying, like,
that's 17. I've only read the beginning of the series is like 4 times, but the end of the series is only once or twice. I only read the last book once. That's the only one I read it once, and then I just couldn't do it again.
There's probably like a Garfield book that I've read that many times.
I can see that.
I thought Garfield's a cartoon.
Friends are there.
No, man, Garfield's a comic.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
It's mostly pictures.
Yeah, I don't think I've read anything that much ever.
But no, that's awesome. So all the Dune.
Oh yeah.
But
I want to know, is that just Dune, just the first book, or did you read the entire series every single year?
It really bothers me that Arrakis is also called Dune. I think that's a really weird name for a planet.
Also, they never called it Dune.
Oh no, Arrakis.
We watched the preview for the old movie.
I know that they, even in the book, that they said like Arrakis, also known as Dune, but nobody called it Dune.
Oh,
I didn't notice that.
The only time they did it, like, you can tell Herbert setting it up really early for you because he just kept reiterating in like one of those early sections, Arrakis, Dune, desert planet. And he repeats that like 17 times in that chapter.
All right, Matt Scalisi coming for me. I'm not. Graphic novels are books, okay? All I'm saying is that Adam specifically reading Garfield specifically many times does not count as him reading a book a ton of times.
Garfield.
When I was a kid,
that is specific to him in that book.
I slept with a Garfield book under my pillow so that I could, if I woke up in the middle of the night, I could pull it out and read Garfield. Love Garfield.
Do you love lasagna?
Yes. And
Can you
I
eat it
hate
with your
Mondays.
hands?
I hate Mondays.
Who
Garfield
doesn't?
does have story arcs. So
Graphic novels for sure, though, are books. We read
comparing
one. I'd
Dune
love
to
to do another
Garfield,
one.
Nope.
say Paul is like John.
Nope. Let's
They
move
both have the color orange.
Yeah, a lot of desert. So we're
Litterbox, Sand
8:26,
Planet.
and we got some announcements. We want to just like sum up our final thoughts on Dune.
Yeah. Well, y'all have convinced me, or maybe I convinced me. I don't know. I'm gonna keep reading because I want more Ben Gesserit's and
No, you're
Aaliyah.
not.
I am.
You're
I'm
not.
gonna read the next one. I
Nice.
mean, not like right now, but sometime in the next couple of months.
I will not be pursuing more right now, just because again, I have a lot of other series that we've actually read. Well, we've read this, but I want to get through some of those. But I'm not saying I will definitely someday come back to Dune because I really do like the world. I want to watch the extended cut DVD because I've never seen that, and like, but yeah, I enjoyed this. I have some faults with it, but it was written in 60 something.
60 something.
60 something.
Yeah.
It's a cool book with a really fascinating world, and I'm with you, Christy. Like the Bene Gesserit, I feel warrant reading on for. They're fascinating.
Yeah. Oh my God! When
I will not be reading on. I feel like I got my fill of Dune, and I'm happy with it. It's like, it was dinner and dessert all in one, and I don't need any more food
It's cool.
to go.
Never heard you say that before.
I have seen you at a work luncheon before eat all your chips and then eat all my chips and then eat all Luke's chips.
Yeah, but that's all just one thing. Dune is a
Right.
basket of chips and the full plate of tacos. But basically, what I'm saying is, I would not read more. I don't need to read more of Dune. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed most of it. There's parts of it that I didn't enjoy. Glad we read it. Classic science fiction. Check it off my list as a sci-fi. Now I feel like I'm more. I have more validation as a sci, and I could say like, yeah, I like sci-fi. And when somebody says, "Have you read Dune?" I can be like, "Yes, I have," and they'll be like, "You're in the club."
Yeah, Misty says it just gets weirder if you read on, and I feel like that's probably like an Ender's Game thing. If you read on into Ender's Game, it gets super duper weird, and that's probably what this does. And I'm okay to not do that right now.
Yeah.
I am really glad to have read this, and I am going to read it again one day. I think, especially knowing if you take into account when it was written, it is one of the most creative and complex books I've ever read. I am not going to continue on unless after Christy reads the next book, if she tells me, hey, you should read the next book, then I will. But if she reads the next book and she's like, don't worry about it, then I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for her and let her tell me.
One man's Dune is another man's Garfield.
Adam probably.
Now Adam definitely.
So yeah, those are my feels. Like I was thinking about this before, and it's something that I feel like I will never get tired of reiterating, especially for this club. I have enjoyed a ton of not good books, and I have read a lot of really great books and not enjoyed them. So I think it's important to always say that, like, I'm not I do not come from a literary background. I am not a critic. Like, this book club is all about really just like personal feelings, and we might pick some books apart sometimes, but that doesn't mean it's a good book or a bad book. It's just how everyone likes different stuff. I can see that this is really good. There's amazing things about it. I get why it's a classic. I'm gonna wait a really long time before that second reread, though.
I feel like if I waited a long time, if I planned on rereading it, if I waited a long time, I would forget everything.
Oh, that's what happened to me because I read it in like 2013 or something, and I remembered like 2 things.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna wait until I forget everything, and then I'm gonna reread it. So maybe next week.
We watch the movie.
No, I'm very excited to watch both the old and the new.
Yeah, I want to see the movie. Yeah,
I think the world is so interesting and creative, so I'm super psyched for the movies.
But next month we have Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. This was overwhelmingly chosen as next month's book, so there better be lots of y'all in the discussion because they had like a ton of people voting for this one. So I assume it's popular. I assume that Christy's never read this.
I have not.
So
me either.
And I can't wait.
So none of us have read it. This will be my first Neil Gaiman solo book.
Oh, and Mike actually commented earlier. He said he just read it in December, but the audiobook is narrated by Neil Gaiman, and he does a great job. So,
cool! I just downloaded that.
He does have a very I've just watched like a different YouTube video of him recently, and he's very captivating as a speaker. But yeah, same as Adam, it'll be my first Neil Gaiman read. I've got like 5 of his books. They're on the TBR pile, and I didn't read them, so that's fine.
That wasn't a solo book.
it was not a solo.
That's why I said Neil Gaiman's solo.
Okay, fine.
I know we read Good Omens. But yeah, so Neverwhere. Get ready for that one. That one's going to be big old February.
February 10th and 24th. Mark your calendars.
Right now. Watch you do it.
Up to chapter 9. Up to, which means not including chapter 9.
Yes.
So he also apparently has a masterclass. So it is amazing and beautiful.
Nice.
So what else do we have to tell?
Other things, right, Lucas?
Lucas got
All right,
thing.
we have an announcement. Okay, so I know in 2020 we were kind of hinting around at. We have so many writers in this group, or aspiring writers, or you've actually done some stuff, and I was like, yo, we have so many passionate people about writing. We should try to put something together. So we're going to try to put something together. So we have come up with our Take a Shot stories. So what is Take a Shot stories? If you submitted to our writing survey, it was a simple Google form that's just like tells us who you are.
Do you write?
Do you write? Do you want to write? And it doesn't matter. You can have written a novel. You could have written in your kindergarten class. But if you want to write, we're opening this up to everyone that submitted to that survey. And we may open it up to some other folks depending on the feedback we get on this. So we're going to write a choose your own adventure book, guys.
As a collective.
As a collective. This will be a crowdsourced, family written book. So we had nearly 70 people fill out that form. At first I was like, okay, we're going to get maybe 20 people. And then all of a sudden it was like, our cat's barking. Oh, that's awesome. And
we can hear it.
That's good. Yeah. So we're going to crowdsource a book. And the way that's going to work, I have written the first page. Adam wrote the next part, and then he has given you 2 choices. So based on, I'm going to send the email right now. If you have submitted to our writer's survey, check your email. It's going to come from Literarily Wasted, and you're blind carbon copied. You're going to have a series of 4 PDFs to look at.
Lucas has spent a lot of time on this. It's really good
I've
stuff.
spent a lot of time thinking about this. I have decision trees mapped out. So how it's going to work, you're going to have a week to think about this. It's really low.
Not about the story itself.
Not about the story
think
itself.
About the email that you just got.
Think about, do I want to do this? And we're talking about writing a page or 2 that's 5.5 by 8.5. This isn't a huge time commitment because we know everybody's busy. I don't have time to write an entire book, but the way it's going to work. So Adam has written 2 decision points. It's really fun so far. So what we'll do is based on whoever responds back with the documents that we need, then we're going to start to build out a decision tree. I've already got some mock-ups. And
You'll
get assigned a number, and you'll be put on that tree, and you'll either have a path, a decision point, or an ending. So you'll get slotted in wherever on the tree. So I had a path. So I led to Adam's decision point. Well, guess what? Once we get all of this back, we're going to assign 2 people to that decision point, and they're going to carry on the path, and it's going to split. Well, then it's going to split again. It's going to split again. So the cool thing about this is we had so many different people express interest in like different genres and different things. And we love you guys so much. We wanted to give everyone an opportunity. So we thought, what better way to make it easy? So it's not a huge time investment. It's not a huge, burden on anyone. You're going to have a week to write your selection. But, as the tree keeps going down, we're going to have multiple people writing. So it's going to be a little crazy to keep up with, but I am committed to keeping up with it. So bear with us. It is full on an experiment.
It is also going to take time because
it's going to take time.
Obviously you cannot write your part of the story until you've read what precedes it. So this will be done in stages until we get to your number. It will be a progressive project, but you're all going to write a book together.
Yeah. So
and I say y'all because I'm going to read it.
The fun part about it too is like don't feel like once you get to your section, don't feel like you have to sort of conform or like hard up follow what came before you. Feel free to take it wherever. Like we kind of again, it's an experiment. This is just for fun, but like if it kind of reads like a game of telephone, that's kind of cool. Like if it starts here and then goes like, what have you done? And then the next person is like, okay.
Also, if you've ever joined us for any adventures in reading that we've ever done, that's how everybody actually is.
Like you could totally end up, you're driving in a car at the beginning and it's unassuming, and all of a sudden you're in a Western or you're in a mystery, and that's the cool part is I think that this will allow people to express themselves, feel like we all contributed to something that's really cool. It will be available for free on our website, so everyone can enjoy it. But when you get your story as a writer, you're not going to get the whole thing. You're going to get that path. So it's going to be a surprise to you, the entire book. So, we're going to try to keep it fresh, keep it fun. We will, if you need some help or provide some insight, we're going to be there to kind of go through that with you. But it's super exciting. Adam, I think you had our little logo that we came up with.
Boom.
There, Take a Shot Stories. It is a little shot glass with a book. Yes, this is a book club or drinking club with
literally
books.
Wasted theme.
And this is Take a Shot Stories #1. Who knows? If there's a #2, cool. If it's just #1, that's fun too.
A #2.
But yeah, I know some people are already saying they've gotten their emails. So take a look at that. We're available. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Like I said, heavy on the experiment, but I'm hoping that we'll get everybody's documents back this week. So I would love to have all 70 people involved because there's room. We'll make room for everybody on the decision tree. And I will say this, I want to get artists involved. If you're an artist, or even if you doodle, even if you're a crappy artist and you just want to contribute, I don't care. I would love to have, if you've,
getting some cool filler on those pages.
when you lay out a book, and Christy, you're in printing, you have dead space sometimes, and you need art. Like Adam actually wrote 3 pages. He's a founding member.
It's like 2 in like this month.
No, it's good, but his is perfect to slap a picture for his decision there. So I really want to get artists involved too.
Mr. Belvedere.
We're going to need a cover. We're going to need some cool stuff. And I know we've got really creative people in our group. We want to involve as many people in this as possible. So what I'll do, I see all the artists chiming in. So beautiful. I love it. And it can all be different, right? It can be different styles. It can be hand drawn. It can be photoshopped. It could, if someone wants to see, Adrienne says she could prefer Bernie Sanders. Guess what? This is our book with our club, and we can do whatever the heck we want. So get excited. Tell your friends. I will create another survey for artists, and that'll go up here in a day or so, just so we can kind of gauge how many we have. I don't know how many, based on the response, how many we can fit in feasibly.
You are an overachiever. We need to make an email folder for that.
Joe Kuykendall. Joe wins. He already
filled up all your forms.
Wait, I've also
make a folder to keep it organized.
I will.
I've also seen a couple of people say they didn't sign up before and now they're interested. So
yeah, so that is also something we discussed. So isn't that sign up still in the group, isn't it?
The sign up's in the group, but I disabled it because we hit a point where I was like, I got to cut this off so we can just start to see. Don't worry. Like if you have any interest, we will be posting some stuff because I'm sure we're going to have, of those 70 people that filled it out, it's like, hey, I'm interested. Keep me on the list, but I can't do it right now. So don't worry. If you missed out on that, trust me, we want to involve as many people in this.
We'll have another post. If we're creating a post for artists, we can create another one saying, hey, if you missed this after the fact and you're wanting to sign up, you still have to come in within that deadline.
Yep. So anyway,
we started you'll see what we wrote, and is it good? You be the judge. I think it's pretty perfect. But our stuff is pretty grounded. You can stay grounded if you want to. I mean, you can stay grounded if you want to, or you can go crazy.
Okay, our stuff is grounded because we wanted to get weird.
Yeah,
let's
call
it what it actually is. Like it starts out. We've done enough of these choose your own adventure books that it does. They always kind of start out grounded, and then it just goes kind of haywire. So that's what we want. We want everyone to have some fun with this. We want to include as many people as possible, and based on the success of this, we'll do another one. So it's just a fun way to connect with you guys on another level, and. Yeah,
Natalie's asking about family friendly. Like, are we putting a sort of a rating on this? Like,
I would keep it PG-13.
It's
and
like
I think
this book club.
Yeah, I think I addressed that in the facts, but if not, if you send us something really crazy, we'll give you some feedback, and but I would say PG-13 is a good approach.
Yeah, that's safe. And when I wrote what I wrote. Honestly, I had no idea, like, what comes next. Like, I didn't even have any. So, like, that's to me. I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all do with it.
It's fun. It's good. Anyway, that was the big announcement. So get excited.
Big group project.
It's a group project. It's.
Yay,
I think
you will have homework.
As our quarantine progresses, this is something totally different that you can say. That's one of the positives that I hope we all look back at this period in our lives down the road and say, you know what, that was a really weird, quirky, awful time, but in some ways it was a wonderful time too, because when would we have maybe not, had the time to do something like this and connect with people all over the world to say, and how cool is it for our book club too, to say, I was a part of this and we wrote a book with people all around the world contributing art and words, and this is ours, this is a literarily wasted, and I'm part of that, and because y'all are our club, you are the lifeblood of it, so we want your stamp. I'm not a
writer, so I plan on doing a terrible doodle and putting it right in the middle of it.
We'll say that literarily wasted was pretty prepared for the whole quarantine pandemics and everything.
Oh yeah,
we had it. We were doing it before it was cool, staying at home and all that.
So anyway, that is the announcement. Thank you guys for sticking around a little bit longer to hear us talk about that. But Take a Shot Stories, get ready because it's going to be awesome. And I think, depending on how fast we can get this going, like we're crowdsourcing a book. It could be done in a couple months.
Or
why not?
I was going to say, be realistic.
I'm pushing. I'm excited.
Have fun with it.
Work and bouncing back and forth. This is something. This is this year's project. We are writing a book this year.
This year's side project. Obviously, the main book club comes first. This is a good nice side project for us. We're not going to stop doing all the booky stuff that we normally do.
Yeah, we'll have to
take your bet.
Do some adventures in reading once we actually finish it and
We
actually
can do an adventure reading with our own
with our own book.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to.
The
A couple of them.
inaugural
Yeah.
reading.
So,
Sorry,
But yeah,
really.
Literally Wasted, doing all sorts of fun stuff. 2021, look out! It's going to be amazing. Neil Gaiman is next. The book, not the person.
I know, y'all calm
Yeah.
down. I saw some of y'all getting really excited about the announcement in the group, and I was like, they were like, oh, and I
Listen.
didn't want to be a party pooper, but I wanted to be like,
He
I like
retweeted us, so we got
I
our
like
hooks
on
in him.
Earth just a little bit.
Got our hooks in him. We'll try. But
I'm not gonna lie. As cool as Neil Gaiman is, and how awesome it would be to have him, like I'm more excited about having produced something with the group. Like I think that's way cooler. But that's just me.
Oh, that's definitely cool. Let's get Neil. We've resurrected Frank Herbert. He'll be joining us next week for a live Q&A. Just kidding. Kalia hates zombies, so we couldn't.
Yes, I do. Did you just call me Kalia?
No, I said Talia.
I'm gonna rewind it later.
Anyway,
We did it, you guys. We read Dune.
we read Dune.
We read
It's a classic.
Dune.
While we were reading Dune, Aaron is already on chapter 4 of Neverwhere.
What were you reading during this discussion?
That's hardcore right there. That's anyway. That's it for us. For Dune, stay tuned for Neverwhere.
February 10th.
Have a great rest of the month. We'll see you in February. Bye.
Bye, guys.